In this video, we're going to talk about the switch case or the switch statement. It has the following syntax. We're going to have a variable, and based on the variable, we're going to execute a particular block of statements. If the variable says it's C1, then we're going to execute the case C1, and we'll execute all the statements that come within this block. We have a break statement that acts like a delimiter for each case. Similarly, we can have any number of case statements. And finally, we'll have default. If none of the case matches, then we're going to execute this set of statements that are part of this default block. You will better understand this when we look at the code. So here's the code. What we're doing here is we're going to prompt the user to enter a value. In this case, it's an integer value. And depending on what he enters, we're going to choose the operation to be performed. We have a couple of variables declared here and initialized. Now if the user enters 1, then we're going to find the sum of these two integers. If he enters option 2, then we're going to do this operation. If he enters 3, then we're going to multiply both these variables. If the user enters anything other than the given options, which are in this case 1, 2, 3, then we're going to go ahead and display a message that says invalid entry. So let's see how this program works. I'm going to give the option of 2. Enter 2 to find out a minus b. So I'm expecting the result as 5. We're good. Let's run it once more and give an option that is not listed here. Let's say I want to enter 7. Invalid entry. Great. Do take a note that we're only supposed to enter integer value here in this case. Let's run the program once again and see what will happen if I enter something other than integer. Let's enter a. So that would result in an exception. We'll understand about these errors, exceptions at later chapters. But for now, you're not supposed to enter anything other than integer, because that's what we have here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an integer. It can also be byte, short, char. These are all the supported primitive data types for switch case. And this doesn't have to be 1, 2, and 3. This can also be like 11, 22, or maybe 34. The program still works as expected. And one key thing to note here is, let's undo it. And one key thing to note here is we have a break statement, and it's mandatory that you delimit each and every one of these cases with a break statement. It's very vital. In case if you remove this break statement, then the control just keeps flowing down the lines. Let me show you what I mean. Let's get rid of these break statements. Let's save the program and run the program. Now once again, I give the option 2. The expected result is 5, but see what will happen. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to give option 2. Let's enter 2. We got the result as 5, but in addition to that, even these two statements got executed. So we got 50 as well as the invalid entry, which we're not expecting. Let's undo and save the program. You can also use if-else clause instead of switch case, but you have to decide which one is best, which one looks more readable, and which one performs better. Coming to performance, let me explain you something. Let me pull the whiteboard. Let's say we need to write a program where the program takes in an input from the user, and the user has to enter a value between 1 to 12. Depending on what he enters, we're going to print the corresponding month. Let's say if the user enters 1, then we're going to display January. If the user enters 11, then we're going to display November. Now let's see how we can accomplish this using if-else. We're going to say if entered value equals 1, then print January. If value equals 2, then print February. And we keep writing this for all the conditions. And in our else block, we're going to say invalid entry. That means user has entered something that is beyond the number 12. Now coming to switch, we're going to say switch month, and we're going to have a case 1 to print January, break, and case 2 to print February, break, so on and so forth. And we're going to have one last case which is default that says invalid entry. Now during the runtime, that means when we run the program, let's say user entered the value 12. In case of if-else, it has to go from the line 1. It has to check to see if the user entered value is equals to 1. No. Is it equals to 2? No. It keeps going until the condition is met. So the control has to go through all the if conditions and check to see if any of those conditions is met. Now coming to switch, it's just going to directly jump onto the exact case which needs to be executed. So we're saving quite a lot of time here. So there is a performance benefit when using switch instead of if-else. Now let's go back to our workbench. Even in our previous example, let's go back to the continue statement example. So instead of writing the code in this manner, we could just say we want to print the value in case if the number is divisible by 10. So this would essentially give us the same results. Let's run it. There you go. But it's you who have to take the call on which one looks much better and which one makes more sense. So that summarizes the switch statement and the control statements chapter. See you in my next video.